Top 10 U.S. spots to visit in 2014. CNN. Intrepid travelers need not leave the United States to find distinctive cities, spectacular open spaces, and wide beaches to explore. Lonely Planet's top 10 U.S. destinations for 2014 are all available without clearing customs, including long-beloved destinations, spots commemorating important events in 2014, and significant regional spots that deserve your attention. Lonely Planet's top U.S. destinations is an annual list of places that travelers should add to their wish list specifically for the coming year. They are not necessarily the must-see places. Best New York City be on the list every year, says Emily Woolman, Lonely Planet's editor-at-large. We dig deeper and shine a light on destinations that are emerging, perhaps historically overlooked, and or experiencing something wonderful in the coming year. These destinations aren't necessarily where U.S. travelers are going in 2014, but where they should go in 2014. The list is more art than science. To compile the annual list, Lonely Planet asks its U.S. staff and authors for urban and nature recommendations, well-known and lesser-known spots, and locations that have a timely angle for 2014, says Woolman. From there, our editors whittled down the list to 10, and a natural order emerges. Since working Americans don't get as much vacation time as their European counterparts, consider using your limited vacation days to explore Lonely Planet's top destinations right here at home. Here are the top spots that came out on top. Grand Rapids and Lake Michigan's Gold Coast. It's such an overlooked part of the Midwest, says Woolman, and so deserving of attention by travelers who love arts, beer, and food and the beach. The second largest city in Michigan, Grand Rapids has beer and food festivals almost year-round, perhaps inspired by more than 25 craft breweries in the area. It has a beautiful art scene, including the LEED-certified Grand Rapids Art Museum and Frederick Major Gardens and Sculpture Park. From Grand Rapids, it's an easy 30-mile drive to Michigan's Gold Coast, one of the United States' most unexpected beach getaways, says Woolman. Add this to folks outside the Midwest. Enjoy the sugar-white sand beaches, orchards, cider houses, and wineries. Take a dip and have a drink. Yosemite National Park, California. With 3.8 million visitors last year, the third most visited national park in the country, is well known among park lovers and novices alike. Yet the federal government shut down and rimfire hurt the park and surrounding communities that depend on park visitors for their survival. Add to that a reason to celebrate the 150th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's signing of the Yosemite Grant giving the Yosemite Valley and the Mariposa Grove to California to be administered. Yosemite was turned into a national park in 1890. The grant is widely seen as a precursor to the creation of the National Park Service in 1916. Yosemite is celebrating that with a bunch of preservation efforts, says woman. It's a good time for the nations and the world's gaze to be on Yosemite. It's one of the most majestic parks in the U.S. Boston, Massachusetts. The eyes of the world will be on Boston next year, as thousands descend upon the historic city to run and support the Boston Marathon come Monday, April 21st, Patriots Day in Massachusetts. It will be the first running of the marathon since the Boston bombing on April 15, 2013. Fans of this New England city also know that U.S. history comes alive on the Freedom Trail, and walkers can include a stop at the Bell in Hand Tavern, the nation's oldest tavern, along the way. The past in Boston is always very much alive, says woman. Central Coast, California. While many visitors in the know have experienced the beauty of the area from Santa Cruz to Santa Barbara, it can be ignored as flyover country between San Francisco and Los Angeles. It's quintessential California at its best, says woman. The weather is generally gorgeous, and even when it's foggy, it's still romantic. Check out the Pacific Ocean driving along Highway First and stop by the gorgeous inns and restaurants hugging the coast. Stay on the Monterey Peninsula and enjoy the Monterey Bay Aquarium during its 30th anniversary year. Explore Paso Robles wine country, its rivals Sonoma and Napa, says woman. Jersey Shore, New Jersey. With Superstorm Sandy last year and the boardwalk fire this year, the Jersey Shore has been through the ringer. The storm caused monumental damage, but there has been an incredible effort to revitalize. From Sandy Hook to the north and Cape May to the south, you will find kitschy towns, classy towns, and everything in between, says woman. As recovery efforts continue, it's important to have tourism in 2014. We encourage people to go, and there's a lot of family fun. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City has its barbecue, of course, more than 100 spots to celebrate its culinary accomplishments in that area. Yet there is so much more to Kansas City. It's another one of those cities in the central swath of the United States that is often overlooked, says woman. It's really wide open and inviting, with 200 fountains, jazz, and barbecue. It also has a very vibrant African American community. The city will be in the spotlight in 2014 with the 100th anniversary of the start of World War First. The city's National World War First Museum at Liberty Memorial, which is getting a $5 million makeover, will shine the spotlight on the Great War. Cumberland Island, Georgia. Cumberland Island is a magical southern getaway, a national seashore that parts of a collection of sea islands on the southeast Atlantic coast, one of the most underdeveloped places in the United States. There's room for backcountry camping among the mossy oaks and wild turkeys. For a bit of history, visit the First African Baptist Church, which dates back to 1893, and the ruins of a Carnegie mansion. It's otherworldly, says a woman. If you have the opportunity to stay overnight, there's an old inn. You'll have the place to yourself. It's off the beaten path, a magical southern natural getaway. Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course, Las Vegas is about casinos, but it's not all about casinos. We chose Vegas this year because it is reinventing itself, says a woman. There are vibrant art districts popping up and attracting visitors in their own right. On the Vegas Strip itself, the High Roller Ferris wheel is scheduled to open with great views of the city in the 2014. Sun Valley in Idaho. While the crowds travel to Colorado's famed ski slopes, those looking for a less expensive and crowded vacation might want to head to Sun Valley. It's a perfect alternative to places that can be more expensive, says woman. It's a gorgeous setting with the Sawtooth Mountains, culinary events, great food, and world-class skiing, and a lot of hiking in summer. It's really mellow, with no crowds or lift lines. Late Night Hawaii. An often overlooked, really unique speck of paradise, with old shipwrecks and petroglyphs. Most of the island was recently purchased by Oracle founder and billionaire Larry Ellison. It will be interesting to see how the island transforms over the next few years, but it's worth seeing now before it transforms, says a woman. There's snorkeling and diving without the crowds. It's a real slice of Hawaiian life. What stops would you add to this top 10 list of U.S. destinations? Egg Tart Odyssey, the quest for real Mackenzie food. There aren't many people who can claim that their lives have been changed by an egg tart, but Chef Raymond Wong, who heads Macau's Institute for Tourism Studies educational restaurant, says when he tasted Macau's famous local Portuguese tarts, there was no looking back. I left Hong Kong when I was just 9 years old, says Wong, who grew up in San Francisco and studied at the culinary program at San Francisco City College. But when I came back here in 2004, I went to Macau with my fiancé, and she took me to a famous shop for egg tarts. He says the unique taste of the tart was the beginning of a fascination with Macau's world-famous cuisine, a centuries-old fusion of Asian and Mediterranean cooking. It's just a typical egg tart, just like we have in Hong Kong. But what makes it so different is its caramelization. It's really sweet and fragrant, he says. The crust of the Macau tart is also different. It's made of puff pastry instead of sweet dough. It's really got me looking more deeply into Mackenzie cooking, says Wong. Macau's unique culinary legacy, more than any other region in Asia, with a comparable colonial history. For instance, the Spanish in the or the French in Vietnam. The Portuguese laid down a strong culinary imprint in Macau, and the locals are justifiably proud of its history. There are often long cresses at favorites such as Fernando's, where on some weekend it can be almost impossible to get a table. The restaurant doesn't have bookings and works strictly on a first-come, first-served basis. A lorcha is another Mexican serving the territory's famous African chicken, a Portuguese colonial dish that combines Goan and East African influences, grilling the chicken with chilies and spices. Local connoisseurs are also beating a path to one's IFT educational restaurant, just a few steps up the road from the Posada de Manja Hotel, as its reputation for mining the local culinary culture grows. It's an endless field of fascination, he says, just hunting down the true recipes. You feel like a culinary Indiana Jones. One says this type of culinary archaeology. Many of the recipes in Macau are more than 100 years old and are passed on by word of mouth alone, has surprising quirks, and often has a strange language of its own. These recipes are kept within families for generations, so it is really hard to find a true recipe. For instance, for something like tamarind pork, every family will have their own twist to it. Getting recipes out of some of these families, my God, is like squeezing eggs. And if you're lucky enough to get a recipe, they are not measured in proportions that we normally use, like teaspoons or grams. They're often given in dollar amounts. They'll say you have to put in 20 cents of paprika or 50 cents of this or that. You find out exactly what $1 bought you back in the day. Distinct flavors. Dishes served at the Institute for Tourism Studies educational restaurant are typical of Macanese cooking. The tamarind pork retains a tangy, salty, ancient aftertaste that comes from shrimp paste. The secret to this dish is to let the pressed rice and pork sit overnight. Slow-cooked lamb shank falls off the bone after being casseroled for more than 2 hours and sits on a bed of white beans cooked in rosemary. The dense texture of the olive oil adds a golden color and a fruity flavor. In the years that one has been mining Macau for recipes, he says he's met his fair share of discoveries. One gem that I would consider such is a Christmas dessert, he says, sort of voice as if imparting a trade secret and conveniently forgetting its name. I don't know if I should even bring this one up, he says, laughing, but it's a real pain to make. You have to stir the sugar a lot. Again, a lot of people here don't have the exact recipe for that one. For restaurant-trained students in its culinary arts management course, but as one pointed out, only professionals rather than students prepare and cook the food at a restaurant. The only downside is that being an educational restaurant is not open on Friday nights or weekends. Spanish Ghost Airport goes on the block. CNN up for auction. $1.5 billion Spanish airport little used. Starting price $150 million. If that sounds improbable, you haven't been keeping up with the fallout from Spain's burst property bubble. The fire sale of the country's first private international airport, costing a reported $1.5 billion to build, has become a powerful symbol of the economic downtown triggered by that implosion. With a 12,400-meter long runway, Europe's longest on which the world's largest airliner, the Airbus 380 can then conclude that Rio International Airport sounds as if it has quite a lot going for it. Accepting bids from this week until December 27, the 5-year-old facility, 200 kilometers south of Madrid, also has a passenger capacity of 10 million people a year and something rare for an airport: star quality. Last year, the Oscar-winning Spanish director Pedro Almodovar shot part of his last film, The High-Flying Rome, I'm So Excited, at the so-called Ghost Airport, the Australian reports. Don't then here, plus point aside, what the airport equivalent of real estate agents might try to gloss over all the huge yellow crosses painted all over the runway, like hoardings on an abandoned building to keep squatters out. They're designed to stop pilots landing at the airport by accident, while they could only recently have found themselves surrounded by a gaggle of Almodovar's actors playing grimly Camp Air crew. What would have been confusing? Another downside is that location, which sounds as though it might have been breezily dismissed amid the giddy excitement of the aforementioned 10-year development boom. No one really goes to Cordero Rio, at least not on vacation. Lonely Planet calls it an unspectacular Spanish working town. The sparsely populated surrounding region of Castilla-La Mancha is where the Spanish literary character Don Quixote famously titled at windmills. Indeed, the airport was first called Aeropuerto Don Quixote. Cervantes' hero also gave rise to the word quixotic, meaning extravagant, unrealistic, and impractical. Near Madrid, the airport was meant to serve the Spanish capital and the Anderson caused by high-speed rail, but it appears to have been planned in the same vein as other far-flung but as domestically named airports, such as Paris Bourville's Tila, 85 kilometers from the French capital. Low-cost carriers such as Ryanair and Air Berlin flew into a Ciudad Rio International, but the airport opened in the same year, 2008. As the bursting of the Spanish property bubble-tipped the country's economy into double-dip recession. By 2012, the airport's custom had dwindled to a few private arrivals, including Prince Harry reportedly flying in for a boar hunt. Later that same year, its operators having filed for bankruptcy, the airport closed for business, only to open up now for bids. Saudi princes are among possible buyers that spring to mind, although they probably get enough sun. Amazon's Jeff Bezos could snap it up. He might save on freight. Or maybe Ryanair should actually buy its own airports. They say every cloud has a silver lining. For now, Rio International is waiting for one to appear. Beijing beer boom, the capital's craftest pubs. For years, Going out for beer in Beijing meant settling for tasteless, mass-produced lagers. The drought has come to an end. A number of local brewpubs are now serving complex craft ales in pub atmospheres throughout the city. Though the current beer boom was kicked off by expats eager for a taste of home, brewing classes and homebrew associations have spurred the growth of local Chinese beer aficionados, whose brews appeal to a more domestic palate. Beijing's best brew pubs range from boutique pubs to those that brew and bottle for outside venues and aim to make it big. Great Leap made its name brewing beers in a rustic courtyard that's been around since the days of old Beijing. Nowadays, the hype surrounds its second location, closer to modernity. Great Leap's brewing tap room is scaled up with plenty of polished wood, shiny fermenting tanks at a state-of-the-art tap system, pouring 12 beer varieties. The expanded size reflects the status. Bearded owner Carl Caesar is credited with kickstarting Beijing's current beer boom. Much like their sweet honey, Mei-El is laced with local honey from the Great Wall and a touch of Nanbing Sichuan peppercorns. This idiosyncratic beverage brings the best of Western styles under the eaves of the historic Eastern City. Healthy appeal of Slowbow's taproom is wandering down a Hutton alleyway to find it. The bar is hidden for a reason. Slowbow started out as a simple lease a keg operation, putting its ever-growing list of ales and stouts on menus of other bars and restaurants around town. Their flagship taproom sidesteps competition by putting them all in one place. Rows of tables in the unadorned one-room pub resemble an alcoholic canteen. The focus is on the drink and drink alone. Beers range from bold and rich 2-6 oatmeal stout to fruity, hoppy Flying Whale IPA. The duo that took up residence in the spare room of Beijing barbecue restaurant, the Big Smoke, described themselves as Gripsy brewers. For months they were balancing corporate gigs with a hobby that found them brewing in apartments and commercial kitchens. What resulted was a number of small batches that reflected the duo's quickness rather than stick with a standard wheat beer. They jazzed it up with watermelon and mandarin, a range of varieties. What comes out of their laboratory and into the glasses can be as conventional as sharp pale ale or innovative as Westby beer. The popularity of foreign-owned breweries has inspired a generation of domestic Chinese brewers, notably locally prolific Tipsy Face Brewing. Founder Xin Hai, president of the Chinese Homebrewers Association, joined forces with beer fanatic and bar owner Xiao Bayer to lay the stones for their home base, N-Beer, beside the noodle shops on Hugashi Snack Street. What's the vibe like? Start with a well of Silver taps pouring brews from around the country.